Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at the Funkoverse games. This Funkoverse game, the first one we're going to take a look at is number 100, which is for Harry Potter, and this is its core game. Don't pay attention to the fact that you don't see the little characters here. I took out the insert because if you like this game, you can fit a lot of it into this one box, so that's really cool. So, in this game, it's going to be a 2 to 4 player skirmish where you're trying to meet different objectives and gain the most points before the end of the game. The side who's gained the most points at the end of the game wins. Now, this set here comes with 4 different scenarios, and I'm just going to go over real quickly just the basic rules for the game. And it's going to go over like the introductory game. So that's a game where you're just simply going until you knock someone out. Not really one of the ones you're going to play very often because it's just teaching you how to play the game. But let's go ahead down the table here, get a general idea how to play the game, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, so this is Funkoverse. This is going to be the Harry Potter Pack 100. This is going to come with 4 different characters. You're going to get Lord Voldemort, you're going to get Bellatrix, you're going to get Hermione Granger, and you're going to get Harry Potter. Along with this, you'll also get tokens for an Auror and a Death Eater. So each side's going to have 3 characters that can control. In the first scenario, you're just trying to knock out one of the other characters to win the game. That just gives you an idea how to play. In the future, each one has a equipment that comes with this set that you can get. Bellatrix has her dagger, and that's going to give you a challenge too. This character may do an extra non-challenge action this turn. We'll get into what those are in a second, but just know that those are available in later games. And you also, for Hermione Granger or Harry Potter, whoever you want to assign this to, actually doesn't really matter. Felix Felicis, which is that luck potion. When the character challenges a target, you may play this card on the 3 of your countdown track. Before you roll your dice, set one of them to the 3 successes instead of rolling it. So that's really good. But we'll go over what that means in a minute. But just know those are available. Also, there's a whole bunch of additional tokens for the different scenarios that you have available that come with the game. And you're going to have these point shards that you can pick up. In the introductory game, you're not going to be using those because you're just trying to knock out your opponent. So the game does come with 4 different scenarios you can play, but you could do whatever you want. You can make up your own scenarios if you want. And there's 2 sides to the map. This one here is going to be the Room of Requirements, and on the other side is Diagon Alley. And each of these are going to tell you how you set it up, how you're going to gaining points throughout the game, and the win condition. And this one here on this side is going to be a flags. So it's going to do setup, rules, gaining points, and winning, and how you set up the game. And then here's an alternate for Diagon Alley that you could play. Again, you'll have your setup rules and gaining points and how to win. And this is the alternate for Room of Requirements, setup, gaining points, and winning. So yeah, 4 different scenarios you can play off of. You can do a free-for-all like this, or, you know, do your different ways of however you want to do, like till 2 knockouts, or every knockout's a shard till you run out of shards. You could do that too, but just know it comes with 4 different scenarios. The board's 2-sided, and if you get more expansions, you can replace these tokens here, like the Auror or the Death Eater, with characters from the additional expansions. Each player is going to get select their 2 characters and they get their token, and then they're going to get those characters that correspond. So I would get Harry Potter, and here's Hermione Granger, and here is the Auror. Now, the Auror here is a simplified version of the rest of these cards. Doesn't get any special abilities, has 2 defense, and these can be knocked out. So, let's get into how the game plays. Each player is going to take a turn and activate one of their characters. once all the characters are activated, we're going to deactivate or reactivate those characters, and you'll start a new round, and the first player will swap to the other player. So let's say this team goes first. So they're going to pick one of their 3 characters, and they're going to move that character. Well, they could do up to 2 actions. They don't actually have to move. You can move, so that lets you move up to 2 spaces in any direction, and you can go diagonally, horizontally, any way that you want, except for if there's an obstruction there, which we'll go over in a second. You could do a basic challenge. Now, a basic challenge, you have to be adjacent to the character, which if Lord Voldemort's here, this would be adjacent, this would be adjacent, this would be adjacent, and you have to have line of sight. If you want to do that, you can do a challenge, which we'll go over in a second. Basic challenges, you get 2 dice. Now, the other thing you can do is an assist. So if you assist, you can stand up a knocked down ally. Now there's a difference. You're going to be knocked down and then you can be knocked out. So if a character is knocked down and Hermione's right adjacent, she can use an assist action to stand the character back up. Interact. This action allows you to interact with different pieces on the board. Basic learn to play game here, where we're just trying to knock out one of the opponent's characters. Don't have that, but all the different scenarios have different things you could potentially interact with. In addition, you also have special abilities. So you could fire off one of the abilities if you can on here, and you could use one of the items. And the learn to play, you don't have the items, just if you use the item is going to go on to your cooldown board and only be available once it reaches 1 and comes back to you. All right, so that's your 2 basic actions you can do, but there's one more. If you're knocked down, you could take both of your actions and rally yourself and bring you back up. But that's your whole turn. So, as you can already tell, rally is not nearly as good as assisting another character. All right, so you get your 2 actions. The other player gets to take their turn, activate a character, and then they get, and you so on and so forth until all the characters are activated. So let's say I wanted to activate Harry Potter. I can take up to 2 actions. Well, no one's within my range, but there's a couple things that are important on Harry Potter here. Now, a character has abilities, which the non-player, or the little chip doesn't, or doesn't have any abilities. But this one has Expelliarmus. I don't know how to say this one, but Filipindu or whatever. This one here will let me challenge 3 to all adjacent rivals. Then you may move each target 1 square. Now, challenges. We're going to go over in a second. Challenges. These numbers here tell you how many dice you get to roll for a challenge. All right. Expelliarmus, range 3. So I have a range up to 3. I have a challenge 2, so I'll roll 2 dice. And I can take an item card from the target and place it on the 2 of their cooldown track. So I can basically disable the item. If, like, so Bellatrix is holding the dagger, I can get it out of her hands and make her have to wait to get it again. And Protego, which I have, you get these extra little tokens here to show that you actually cast them on a character. This one here, pick an ally. Harry can see within 3 squares and give them the Protego status card. Now, the Protego status card here increases this character's defense by 2, which is really good. Discard this card after defending. Bellatrix actually also has a special effect card too. She has Confundu. The next time a character does the ability action, increase the cost of the ability by 1. Then remove this card. Okay, so just gave you a general idea of what Harry Potter's actions are that he can do. Now, couple more things to keep in mind on this card here is, let this get in focus here, is these colors here and these numbers. So this is a 4 and a yellow. So I have to look over at my pool of available tokens here. And my pool of available tokens, I'll bring them up here so you can see a little bit better, but you wouldn't have them on the board. as I have these 2 yellows, 1 blue, and the gray gear. And he uses yellows and blue. So if I wanted to do Expelliarmus, I would have to spend my blue ability token here and place it on the number it says, so 2. So it'll be 2 rounds before I get that back. And then I can fire off my ability. If I did the yellow ability up here, this little yellow flag, I'd have to put it on the 4 of that track, and it would take 4 rounds for me to get it back. And Protego is only 1 round to get it back. And again, so doing your special actions do count as one of your actions, but you also have to be aware that this pool of tokens here is shared between the 2 characters that you have. And 3 if you actually replace the aura with one of the expansion characters, or a character from another part of the Funkoverse. So, I'll take my 2 actions. So let's say I move twice, I go 1, 2, and then I do another action, 2, 1, 2. Now, if Voldemort, and then I would take this little cancel sign and show that I've activated that character. So if Voldemort went here, 1, 2, and had a range, so if you look at Voldemort here, Voldemort has a range 2 challenge 6, which is 6 dice, which is insanely powerful. And it has a range 4 challenge 2, then do a challenge 2 to each rival adjacent to the target, which is amazing also. And then here we have Appendigo, which an ally Voldemort can see that within 4 squares may do a basic action, which is also amazing. If you wanted to deploy a range, what you're going to have to do is you're going to take, we'll lay Harry Potter down so you can see this, but you're going to draw a line from the center of this character to the center of this character. If it passes through anything, you can't see the other character. So in this case, it would pass through this blue outlined piece here. So Lord Voldemort could not see Harry Potter. It would be the same if you were like this. Lay Harry Potter down so you can see, draw a line, can't see. This also affects movement. So if Lord Voldemort wanted to move here, he couldn't because this will obstruct him. So he has to move here, then here. So that's how line of sight works. How does a challenge work? Well, let's say we have a basic challenge. So we'll have Lord Voldemort right beside Harry Potter. And in this case, Harry Potter is going to challenge Lord Voldemort. So this is going to be a basic challenge. So Harry Potter gets to roll 2 dice. You're going to roll the dice and see what you get. This indicates a success. If you get this, this indicates 3 successes. So you're going to take your successes, and then you're going to look at your opponent's card and then see what the shield says down the bottom here. That's how many dice the opponent gets to roll in defense. Now, Lord Voldemort might be really good with offense, but he's not very good with defense. So he's only going to get 1. So Harry Potter, when we rolled, had 1 hit, and Lord Voldemort has to roll for defense. He rolled a hit that does not count. What could have counted was Lord Voldemort could have rolled this for 3 successes for defense, or this for just defense. But since he rolled this hit, Harry Potter succeeds in the challenge, and Lord Voldemort is knocked down. Now, knocked down is not knocked out. If this was the first action for Harry Potter, he could also do another challenge to see if he could knock out Lord Voldemort. So he'd roll again, and he got a hit, and Lord Voldemort would still roll defense. And he got a shield, so he defended himself. If he failed, he would have been knocked out and placed on the 1 on their track. So next round, Lord Voldemort would come back out. In the basic scenario, we're just trying to learn how to play the game. You don't need to worry about any of that, because as soon as you knock out the opponent, the game's over. However, in most of the other scenarios, knocking out an opponent doesn't end the game. You might get points, or that might not be the objective that you're trying to reach, and you may actually have to interact with some part of the board to get the points, but the player's in the way. So, once everyone's taken their 2 actions and exhausted all their characters, they will then go into a new round. You'll pull these exhaustion counters off. You're going to use this shard token to show who is up, so this will go to the black side, so that player would go first. Now, a little bit on the tokens here. If you knock out a token, you're just going to flip them over. That shows it knocked out. The tokens get a static 2 defense, and that's it, and they have no abilities, but they can always do a basic challenge. So that is the gist of how to play the Funkoverse game, and this one specifically, Harry Potter. Let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this game. Okay, so first thing off, components. Components are great for this. I love those little blue shards. The Funko Pops are Funko Pops. They're miniature Funko Pops. They're really good. So really great component quality. Really good bang for your buck too for what you get for this game. So you're getting a really good return for what you pay for the game itself. So that is really good. A lot of board games they're not painted. You don't get anything like this. So that's really nice. It's a really great, solid skirmish game. So that was really surprising because looking at the game, it looks really simple. The toy factor of the Funko Pops, you're like, oh yeah, well they have Funko Pops, so you're just getting it for the Funko Pops. But there's an actual game here, and it's a lot of fun. I really like the fact that they give you these scenarios that you can play, and the board is double-sided. That is wonderful. So many games just don't do that. You have a board, you're using one side. If you're using a map, why don't you use the other side and have another map? Wonderful. Really good. I love that. Dice are amazing in this game. The rules are straightforward, so this is a really great game to play with kids, but it's also fun to play with adults because there's a lot of strategy that you can have in this game, and the movement and the obstructions that you can have in there. Line of sight can be a little complicated for kids though, but if you explain it to them and they can get it down pretty quick. Line of sight is odd for the movement and stuff where you can't move diagonally in certain places, but you think you might be able to, but the blue bar just goes a little bit beyond the square, so you can't. So little fiddly things on that, but in general it's not a fiddly game. Just line sight is, I think, going to be the hardest thing to teach a child for this game. However, like I said, this game is great for adults. And as you notice, I don't have the insert anymore in here, and that's because I can fit this, and in a later review I'll go over the 101 expansion, which is going to be the mini expansion for this Harry Potter one, that comes with 2 characters instead of 3. Additionally, this game says it's 2 to 4 players. Each player, if you're playing 4 players, could play one of the characters. I would say that you could actually play up to 6 if you really wanted to. If you got the 101 expansion, which is Harry Potter and Draco. Player could play Harry Potter, player could play Draco. That wouldn't be terribly exciting if you didn't have those for one person play the Death Eater that has no abilities whatsoever and just moving around the board. But I think the game really shines as a 2-player skirmish. You can play the more characters, but I think it really shines at that, and it is a well done 2-player skirmish game. The abilities that you get, the items that you get, some of the status effects you get, all the cool things that different players get are really cool. How you balance out doing those special effects and using up your tokens is really important. A lot of strategy in this simple game. So I really like it for that. If you're looking for a skirmish game, I would recommend checking out the Funkoverse in general. There's going to be tons of different IPs that you can go with. If you like Harry Potter, this one would be amazing to start with. So that's my thoughts on it. Thank you for watching.